Hello folks, Exeter Rider, thanks for joining me once again. Okay, so this is the SINNIS SM-XE 125. SINNIS this year have brought out some absolutely cracking bikes, it's got to be said. First of all, I had the SINNIS SMR, I have to get my facts right here, all these letters, the SINNIS SMR not so long ago, which I thought was a good bike, I quite enjoyed it. That being said, it was a tad lost on me a bit. It was a good bike, but obviously it's mainly a city bike, and whereas this SM-XE model with the knobbly tyres and the 21-inch front wheel does have a bit more of a multi-purpose feel about it. You know, you can ride around the city one moment, and then the next minute you can do a few lanes at the weekend. So for me personally, I'm much more enjoying the XE model because I've had some serious good fun off-road on this bike already. It really is a cracking little bike. With it being 125, a lot of the time this power displacement doesn't have a huge amount of power. Whereas this one here has a lot of linear power, I suppose you could say, all the way through the rev range. And even when you're at low RPMs, it does tend to pull very, very well. I'd be happy owning one myself actually, but in this video I'm going to walk you around the bike, we'll have a little chat about it, we'll see what the finish is like, and the dash and things like that, and take it through every different scenario that you might use this bike for. While I'm on it, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, it'd be great if you could. And I've got more coming up on this bike, including a lot of off-road fun and a few mishaps along the way, shall we say. So do like a video if you would. But for now, let's get on with the review, and we'll start now and see what it's like in the city riding. It's a very narrow bike. Even though it is high up, you still should have enough confidence to be able to deal with that. Overall, it's you know, I can see over the car roofs, the visibility is good, not only for me but other people as well. It's a bright front light LED, which is actually really good at night time as well. It really lights up very, very brightly, and the mirrors are above the car doors. The mirrors aren't actually very good, sadly. Had to be something, didn't there? But make a decision, I'm going to do this. But for weaving in and out the traffic, I mean, if you can ride this thing off-road, then it will teach you really good skills of being able to ride the bike in and out of the traffic. Braking is pretty good on the back, and a little bit not so good on the front, shall we say, purely because of that 21-inch wheel. The calipers do have a lot to put up with. Power wise, it will pretty much pull in most gears surprisingly well for a 125, and that's where the 14 brake horsepower really comes in to its own. And I found this off-roading yesterday is that sometimes I was knocking it down to first gear to get up some steep hills, when actually I had enough power there in second gear to actually pull me through, even when I was only doing sort of 1200, 1500 revs. So power wise, it's you're not going to have any issues there. Now, I'm not saying it's a fast bike. It's, you know, it still goes pretty well for a 125, but the way it delivers it is just got I guess you could say a lot more torque on the crank. It is where you notice it a bit more. If you were going 2 up doing this, then again with the powerful engine, you shouldn't have much of a problem there. And in fact, because the suspension on the back is quite stiff anyway, then you should be fine. The tyres, although they're knobbly, they don't really make a lot of noise like some knobbly tyres do. and vibration wise, again, they're not too bad, not as bad as you might think. Let's see what it's like out on the dual carriageway. So 125, we have a 70 miles per hour speed limit on these type of roads. Again, with the 14.8 brake horsepower that this gives us, it gets up there relatively quickly and consistently as well. So overall, here I am, 65 miles per hour. That seems to be the maximum that I can get out of this bike, bearing in mind that there is no screen, so and I'm quite a lump these days, so but it'll do it. Vibrations wise, I've got quite a bit coming through the bars, bearing in mind that even since I've had this bike and put 100 miles on it so far, the vibrations have got a lot better. So I think overall the actual engine itself is very smooth and quite refined, all things considered. So yeah, it's not bad, you know, going on dual carriageway. First thing that you'll notice about the SINNIS SM-XE is how high the seat is. It's 885 millimeters, which is quite high up for most people actually, if you're under 6 foot. I'm 5'8", I've got a 30-inch inside leg measurement, and I find it easier to stand on the foot peg and swing my leg over like so. So when I'm on the bike, I am on the balls of my feet because the suspension on the back is quite stiff, and so the back end doesn't sink down very much. Stood up on the pegs, I can grab the tank really nicely because it is quite a narrow tank and obviously a narrow seat as well. So I can grab the tank nicely there, and I can really put the weight over the front wheel there. It's a very comfortable bike to sit on because the leg position here is pretty much perfect really, as is the peg position for off-roading. The pegs are slightly forward to the rest of my body, and it's, like I say, they've done so well on the ergonomics setting up this bike for off-road usage, and of course that will transfer to on-road as well. Riding the bike on road, it's not like other off-road bikes that I've ridden, where they're good off-road and then you take them on-road and they feel utterly lost. This is actually quite a fun bike to ride on-road as well, so it gives you the best of all worlds. On the back wheel we also have a shock guard as well, which stops all the stones and the mud flicking into your shock absorber and spring. I think it's a really good machine for having fun. And I'm not just talking for 17-year-old new riders. I'm talking about if you're older as well and you fancy a second or third bike, then this is a really good option. And I think it's going to be probably what a lot of people have been looking for to have in their garage. So at 9,500 RPM, that's where you get the maximum power at this bike, which is 14.8 brake horsepower. So that, for learner riders, you're not going to get a more powerful off-road bike than this if you're going to ride it on the road as well. It produces 11 Newton meters of torque at 8,500 RPM, but you don't have to be up there to use this engine's power. It will still work well from probably around 1,500, 2,000 upwards. The power is always there all the way through. Very linear type of torque that this bike delivers through the rev range. Switch gears basic. On the right bar we have a kill switch and start button. Then on the left bar we have the horn, indicators left and right, high beam, low beam, and a flasher on the other side. Fully off-road style tyres with big tread blocks and big 21-inch front wheel as well. Driving this bike off-road is obviously its natural habitat. I've had immense amount of fun with this bike over the last 2 weeks. Things which I have done I can't do on any other bike, and it's just been fantastic. So off-road wise, what have we got? So we got a collapsible gear lever, so if the bike does go over, then the actual end of the gear shifter will just bend in, which is what you want. The front suspension is really quite nice actually. You get loads of feel from the front end, and the braking is pretty good off-road as well. Now naturally with all these things, ABS off-road doesn't really bode too well really. It actually becomes a bit of a pain really. They've got to give this bike ABS, and the bonus that we do have is that it is independent ABS. We also have a bash plate underneath the engine that is plastic, but it does stop a bulk of the pebbles going up and hitting the engine and ruining the powder coat on it. Finish overall is, as I said on the SMR, it's pretty good. It is very good, but it is a thin layer. So you are only paying £3,400 for this bike. So all things considered, the amount of fun that you get from that is just great value for money. Certainly in the world where most 125s now are over £4,000, you know, for under £3,500, you get this bike, which is not only good for everyday work, but it's also good to take out at the weekend and explore some lanes. And exploring lanes really does open up a whole new world of biking. It's not something I've done a lot of, but since I've had this bike, I've been able to see parts of Exeter that I've never seen before. Also, the XE has got really good ground clearance underneath there, so if you're going over rocks or get stuck in a rut, then you're not going to hit the bike, generally speaking, unless it really is incredibly deep. So thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. It'd be very, very much appreciated, and I will see you next week.